That's a nice addition of a housemate some years back, and we decided we liked it.
Yeah, it's kind of cool.
Yeah. So we shall
Yes,
begin, and
yes, we
Frank
should
has
get the-
agreed to be my
the-
assistant
Yes.
as associate commissioner. And so we'll go through the usual. Welcome, everyone, and introductions. And I have a request, as best we can manage it, to say one's name before speaking, and also to use as few acronyms as possible. So I'm Harriet.
Thank you.
My pronouns are she and her and hers.
So we're in the roll call now, it sounds like.
Yeah. Okay, roll call. So Pauline Downing,
Here.
Deborah Haber.
Here.
Brian Postlewaite.
Here.
And Kate. Is Kate here?
Yeah, I'm right here.
Oh, great. Welcome.
Thank
And
you.
we have our
And then, Frank,
we have
yeah, is
Frank
here.
Lee. Are you here?
Yeah,
Frank
I'm
Lee?
here.
And Greg, you're our speaker for tonight.
Yes, I'm here.
And Adrian, you're here. Have I missed anybody?
Oh, there's a captioner, Jamie.
Jamie
Says-
captioning.
Yeah,
Thank
we
you.
do have our captioner, Jamie, if people need that.
Would someone like captioning to go on? You would.
It
wouldn't
is on, actually.
Yeah.
Oh, it's-
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks.
All right, so we've got roll call. Welcome. Introduction.
Yes, welcome, introductions, and reading of the agenda.
All right. Shall we read the agenda? Or actually, I suppose we should do introductions. I I neglect that. Would you like to start off, Greg? Introduce yourself.
Sure. I'm Greg Hannafin. I am a transportation planner in the mobility division. And thank you all for having me today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Brian, would you like to introduce yourself?
I'm Brian Postlewaite. I'm Director of Engineering, and I am the administration's representative on this commission. And I am also serve as the secretary for the commission.
Thank you. Adrian, we know who you are, but introduce yourself anyway, please.
Thank you. Thank you, Harriet, through the chair. I'm Adrian Pomeroy. I serve the city of Somerville as the ADA coordinator. And then I am also the staff liaison to the Somerville Commission for Persons with Disabilities.
Thank you. Deborah, would you introduce yourself, please?
I'm Deborah Haber. I am just a resident commissioner, and my pronouns are she and they.
Thank you. Help me out here.
Oh,
I'm
there's
Katie Milton, and I am also a commissioner. My
Excellent.
pronouns are she and her.
Excellent.
yes, and then Pauline.
Pauline, introduce yourself, please.
I'm Pauline Downing. I'm a Somerville resident. Lived in Somerville now for almost 45 years.
Oh, yeah.
You want to go ahead, Frank?
Yes, and I'm Frank Lee. I'm an associate commissioner. I've lived in Somerville since I think 2015 now, so it's been a while.
And I'm Harriet Randvik, and I am been living in Somerville for almost as long as Pauline, 40 years. Raised my kids here. Thank you very much. Okay, we're done with introductions. Frank, would you read our agenda? Did I get everybody? Did I miss any guests?
I think you have everyone
Okay.
thus far. Yes.
Okay, good.
I guess there can always be latecomers.
That's true.
Yes, okay, so reading the agenda. So The first item will be the mobility update of accessible parking from Greg. It says 15 minutes. Then the ADA coordinator report by Adrian, and then the chair's report, which would have been by Holly. Continued business. The first item would be the bylaws, part 3, it says, and approval of previous meeting minutes. And then finally, the new business is commission goals, review feedback on the 10 goals that were sent out to see what were the top 3 choices. And then finally, public comments. And that was it.
Very good. So, Frank, I would like to request that you help us with timing.
Oh,
So I
okay.
think, Greg, we can manage 15 minutes with you and look forward to hearing what you have to say. So if you can keep track of the time, Frank, maybe
Okay, it's 7:10 now.
7:10. So maybe you can let Greg and us know when there's like 2 or 3 minutes left, right?
Okay.
And one other question to you, Greg. Do you want questions intermittently, or would you like to present and then have questions?
So most of I'm planning on focusing on Union Square tonight, and I was going to give a quick update on Bow Street. The commission had previously shared some input on the accessible space on Bow Street at Bow Street Place, and we are this week going to be doing the new striping on Bow Street. So I'll give a quick update on that. And then I was hoping to actually spend most of the rest of the time hearing from you all on what your priorities are in Union Square, what is working for you, what is not working for you right now. And we're looking at Union Square as a whole and thinking about priorities for the curb space, and accessible parking is an important element of that. So yeah, I want to spend the rest of the time just hearing what you all have to say.
Excellent. Thank you.
So I can jump in, I think quickly go over what's happening on Bow Street. I believe Brian back in the fall had discussed with the commission the protected bike lanes that are going to be going in on Bow Street between Summer Street and the crosswalk right before Somerville Ave, and had presented some different options for either keeping the accessible space where it is now at Bow Street Place or potentially relocating it to some other places. We had heard from the commission that the preference was to keep the spot in its existing place when the protected bike lanes go in, and shift that space to the outside of the protected bike lane. So this week, possibly tomorrow night, we are going to be completing that work. So now the bike lane on Bow Street between Summer Street and Somerville Ave, the crosswalk before Somerville Ave, will be against the curb. Then there will be a buffer, and then will be the parking space. The design of the accessible space will be slightly different than the rest of the parking. At the accessible space, we have widened the parking space by a foot, so it'll be 8 feet wide with a 3-foot buffer, and then we've decreased the width of the bike lane at that location to 4 feet. And to make sure that that space stands out, the final implementation of the space will be painted blue. So that the blue paint won't be going in this week because the timing of the paint and the white lines doesn't exactly match up, but hopefully that will be done soon. So that is the update on Bow Street. I'm happy to take any questions about that first.
This is Harriet. I have my hand up, and I don't know if others had their hands up first.
No, I don't see it.
You can go ahead, Harriet.
I am interested. It's a little hard without a more three-dimensional idea, but I'm glad that you're not moving it farther from that intersection, because what I had heard is it was made walking travel, especially for someone who's on crutches or in a walker or has a decreased lung capacity, a problem if it had moved. So I'm glad it's not moving. What I was trying to picture is if you are in an accessible van and you park there, can you safely use a lift to get your chair out if you're on the outside of the bike lane?
Yeah, so the do you mean on the right side of the van?
That's usually the side that
Yeah.
trucks come out. Yeah.
So yeah, the lift can we won't be putting any posts next to the accessible space. So there will be at least 7 or 8 feet between the van and the curb
I see.
that you'll have space to lower down the lift and maneuver in.
I see. I see. Okay. Yeah, that was my first concern. So in a sense, it's opening out toward the curb, but 7 or 8 feet from it. Is that right?
Yes, yeah. So the space will be the parking space will be now 7 feet about from the curb, but we made that parking space a little bit wider. So if you needed more space on the curbside, you could park further out towards the road, and you would actually have, 9 or more feet of space. But for those who prefer to park closer to the curb and have more space on the driver's side, you now have some extra wiggle room on the passenger side, so you can pull in a little bit closer to the curb than a normal parking space.
I see. And then as far as a blind person at the crosswalk, they need to navigate. Explain that to me. In other words, you're at the intersection, right? And you want to cross. I guess from Bow Street is a triangle, a triangulated thing. Is that accurate from what you said?
So we are not changing anything with the crosswalks. Are you talking about the space at Bow Street, the crosswalk across Bow Street Place?
I mean, any of the crosswalks, actually, as a blind traveler, I'm trying to picture the way how it's navigable, how you can move, how you can travel. So, and we've talked before about this is sort of reiteration for some of us, I'm sure, but there's a difference between a crosswalk and a ramp that leads you directly across an intersection, or you have those apex, which sort of leads you out into the middle of the road.
Apex.
So I was just for my own personal need, I was just curious as a visually impaired person, is it possible to cross easily? That's all. And if it's, this is already fixed and done, so you could say it gives you a direct, straight line across from one side of Bow to the other side of Bow, or however it works. I don't have that intersection well defined in my mind. That's all.
So the experience of crossing any of the streets won't change as part of this project. All of the crossings will be the same, and we're not changing any of the ramps. The only difference will be that that one accessible parking space will be off the curb. But
Right.
it's still the closest space to the ramp
Right,
on that section.
okay, thank
This
you.
is Pauline. This is Pauline. Will there be audible signals for crossing those intersections?
It will be the same as it is right now.
Well, I need to know because I don't know if there are. Are those lighted intersections or what are they?
So Greg, I think I might be able to help here. Pauline, this is Brian Postlewaite.
Okay,
At the HP space that Greg is talking about, there is an unsignalized crossing across, I'll get the name wrong, Bow Street Place, I believe it is.
okay,
And then to cross Bow Street at Somerville Avenue, that is also an unsignalized crosswalk.
okay,
By Summer Street, there is a signalized crossing that crosses both Bow and Summer Street. And we're not touching that in this effort, but I don't recall whether that has an accessible pedestrian signal or not. And I can see if I can find out for you, but I don't know if I'd be able to get you that information immediately.
okay, thank you.
You're welcome, Pauline.
And the Bow Street Place is a short dead end, so it's a very low volume, not a lot of cars turning in and out of that street off of the street where the accessible space is.
Thank you, that's great. Any other questions?
So please, once this new design goes in, please continue to share your feedback on how it's working for you, and I can leave my email too. So feel free to send me any emails about how it's working for you. I think I only have 3 minutes left in my 15 minutes, but for as much time as we have, I would love to just hear any thoughts from the commission on your experience in Union Square in general. If there are any particular locations where you would like to see more accessible parking, and what are the major challenges from an accessibility standpoint that you think the square has right now. Yeah, Harriet.
I have a question, which is not about Union Square, but it probably applies all over Somerville. I laud the remarkable smoothing out of curb cuts to make it very, very fine for, I think, anyone using a wheelchair or any other mobility manner. The only tricky part is there are insufficient yellow bumps for me to detect it before I find myself crossing the street. I'm experiencing this in Davis Square in particular, because we have so many small streets to cross. And it humorously or ironically makes me think of when we first got curb cuts. The only thing that was ramped that way were driveways. So in walking around Boston and at earlier times, I'd suddenly find myself, fortunately, maybe an alleyway, but still walking into a place where cars could be passing. So I wonder where I should submit that concern, because it is of concern to me. I do walk around the square and other places, and unless there happens to be a light signal that I can tell which direction it's going, I could make that mistake. So, and maybe no one else has registered this, but I just thought, can you take that back to mobility, or Brian, you to engineering?
Greg, go ahead and answer, and then I'll follow.
I just want to make sure that I'm understanding correctly. So you're saying that there are curb cuts that don't have the bumps.
No, they do, but it's a fairly narrow strip.
Oh, I see.
Helpful if the strip were wider. So if my cane is gliding, then it will hit the bumps
What is this?
and alert me a bit before it starts to smooth out and go down. That's all.
Okay, so you could be walking to the side of the strip and you wouldn't feel it.
No. I'm just saying, I don't know if they're 18 inches wide now, but if they were additional, I don't know. What do you think?
I think you're meaning width in the direction of travel.
Yeah. with the
Yeah,
direction
okay.
of travel. Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
It's really.
So, Harriet, this is Brian Polstwait. We follow ADA guidance for the width of those panels, the tactile warning panels. They're 24 inches. We call them 24 inches long because they're 24 inches in the direction that you walk over them. And they're the width, but from your perspective, the length of the opening in the walkway. I think I'm missing some of your concern here, and I actually think there might be a bigger benefit for us to find time for you and myself and maybe Pauline and somebody else from our team to go and walk around Davis Square so you can kind of illustrate the concerns, because I'm just struggling to understand what your actual concern is, and I would hate to misinterpret it. I was wondering if that might be something that would be a more effective way to accomplish this.
That'd be wonderful.
Okay.
It would be great.
Okay, I wanted to offer it earlier when we were in the middle of winter and y'all had just joined, but I also felt like it might be nicer to do it in the spring.
We've reached.
And Greg, I'd be happy for somebody from mobility to join us, but I know that Jessica Bello, the traffic engineer, and I have been working on improving our designs for sidewalks with both from the perspective of mobility as well as visual disabilities.
Great. Thank you so much. That's great.
Thank you.
All right,
To
I
talk-
will, Adrian, can you help me get in touch with Harriet and Pauline, because I don't have their contact information.
You can put mine in.
Oh,
We can put mine into the chat, I think, too.
Oh, Adrian has it, and then you shouldn't have to share your
I'll
contact. information.
I'll share it with Brian or start a thread or something.
Well, yeah, Adrian, why don't you start a thread, and then I can loop in Jessica and we can just have a coordination chat.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. That's great.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Someone has joined our meeting.
So I think I am approaching the end of my time.
Thank you
But
for. Go ahead.
if I could have a couple minutes, would just be interested to hear if, in terms of new accessible parking spaces in Union Square, if there are any locations that this group thinks should be a priority. I think previously we had heard spaces near the post office as a priority, but curious if you all had any other priorities for new spaces.
I guess I'd like to speak briefly just to say that I think Holly was our best shot because as far as I understand, she's the one person who is living closer to Union Square and would be more aware of spots frequently needed. If anyone else has a thought on that, and then we'll wrap it up. Thank you. Anyone else?
Yeah, this is Brian Polstwait. Greg's recollection of the interest of having another HP space closer to the post office, but I think the key concern there was having it on the post office side of Bow Street, since there was not an accessible space on the, if you will, the block or the other side of Bow Street.
Thank you. And Greg, I'd like to thank you very much for bringing the information to us and showing the conversation. Very, very helpful and opens the opportunity for us to ask questions and share some possibilities. Thanks again.
Great. Yeah, thanks for having me. I'll put my email in the chat. So if you have any other thoughts about Union Square that you think of after this meeting, feel free to send me an email. Or if you have any feedback on how the new space on Bow Street is working after that's gone in. And Adrian, if Holly has any thoughts after, she can send me an email too.
Great, thank you. Feel free to
Thanks,
send-
everyone.
Thanks, Greg.
Yeah, thanks, Greg. And Marie McBride has joined our meeting.
Hi, Marie, would you like to introduce yourself? I'm Harriet, the temporary
Oh,
chief.
I'm Marie McBride. I live in Davis Square. I used to belong to the Disability Commission a long time ago,
Oh,
but
well,
we broke up, so I want to come back. I got a message from somebody asking me if I wanted to come back, and I do.
great. We just are opening applications for people to join the commission. You're quite timely. Maybe Adrian, you can get in touch with Marie.
Yeah, Marie and I have already been in touch a couple times, but
Yeah.
once that goes live, I'm happy to send it to her. And I know Holly now, I think Holly has her on her email list as well.
Excellent.
Yeah, I'm a little familiar with the disability, the ADA rules and stuff like that.
Excellent. Well, thank you for joining.
Oh, you're welcome. It's nice being here.
So the next item is the ADA coordinator report.
Yeah, we'd welcome any report from you, Adrian.
Through the chair, Harriet, thank you so much. This is Adrian. Just actually a couple reminders. The first thing is the ADA community survey is out for people to take it and offer feedback. We are keeping that open till the end of June in order to gather as much feedback as we can, with the exception of one, because I have to staff this meeting. The mayor's office just released their calendar of the community meetings like we did in the fall. Those are happening again. So I will be tabling it, all of those, except for the one that falls on the May date for this commission meeting, because I will be staffing it, but we'll have other RSJ staff there. But so if you are in one of the wards and would like to either come to the meetings, your community meeting, which is being run by the mayor's office and the city councilor that represents your ward, I can send those dates in an email tomorrow, so you all have them, the locations and things on your calendar. And then further, in order to engage you all in the survey, if you would like to table with me at any of the ward meetings to help get folks to take the survey and just talk to them about, you know, the ADA and what the commission is doing as well, that's a great recruitment opportunity for you all to be there. So I'll send that in an email tomorrow and call folks who like phone calls better, and we can talk about that. So that's very exciting. And then the second thing is, many of you have attended already. They're not required, but the info sessions on the code of conduct that is coming from the mayor's office for all commission members to read through and sign. The last info session, if you want to go to that, is tomorrow, or I'm sorry, Thursday from 6 to 7 p.m. It is not required that you go, but the mayor's office is asking all commissioners, associate and commissioners, to sign the code of conduct. And I believe that deadline is soon. I don't have a date in front of me, if you need assistance with that, I am happy to help. And then I think, I can't speak for Holly, but this commission will have to formally vote and adapt that code of conduct as part of your policies, governance as well. And that's across the board for all of the commissions. But again, if you need help signing it, or you need it in a different format, or you need me to read through it with you, I'm happy to do that. So that is all I had for today.
So much. Thank you so much.
Next section would be the chair's report.
Yeah.
Holly.
Yeah, and I think at the very beginning of the meeting, Adrian was kind enough to transmit that our both understandably or whatever acceptably, we are losing a commissioner, our friend Leanne, and they have written to Holly and Adrian. They're very pleased with their participation, and it's time for them to step down. So we wish Leanne well, and we'll miss them for sure. And so that's one piece of what I would have to share with people. And what's my other piece? Oh yes, the thing is that Leanne and our discussion of concern around the variance at whatever the number is, Beacon Street, 230 Beacon Street.
Was it
I
230?
think it was 205 Beacon Street.
205 Beacon Street, are concerned about a couple of different areas there, the railings, their shape and so forth, and the width so that a service animal can pass. Our statement of concern, which Leanne very eloquently wrote about, and it got to the Mass Architectural Access Board. We had some weight in the fact that they chose not to grant the variance. So that's a kind of a victory. That's something that's why we're here. And I'm very glad to announce that, which makes Leanne's departure a little bit more sad, I think. And that's all I specifically have right now, except I would love to encourage everyone to fill out and give comments on the ADA survey, which I myself have not done and plan to do it, but do it well and send in my comments and suggestions. So I would encourage everyone to do that. And that would be, unless you can think of anything else I forgot, my good assistant.
That was what?
That was it, pretty much. Yeah, I think that's it. So, chair report complete.
So the next one is continued business.
Continued business.
So bylaws.
Yes, to look at a few of our bylaws, because it's a lot to take on all at one time. But I'd like to bring forward, Holly and I have been on our own little subcommittee reviewing the bylaws. And we're looking for ways to simplify some of the pieces of it so that we could kind of vote them in and clear them a few pieces at a time. And so Frank, can you help us out?
Yes, I'm gonna try to share screen. Okay, can everyone see that?
Except for me.
Well, sorry. Yes, of course.
You can read it out.
So Holly's in particularly pointed us to Article 3, items 3, I think it's items 3, 4, and 5.
So let's start out with item 3.
Yeah, so Article 3 is the section on membership. And number 3 is about what happens when commissioners reach their term limit. So it says, the problem is that with track changes, it's a little bit difficult to read, but commissioners who reach their term limit, what we wanted to say, or what in the subcommittee we wanted it to say was, commissioners who reach their term limit and do not have a replacement, they should say for their seat here, not from their seat. For their seat, may choose for their seat may choose to remain in said seat until a replacement can take the seat. This stay put rule is at the discretion, we could change the spelling, of the chair and requires a simple majority vote. They may also choose to continue with the commission in the capacity of associate commissioner after vacating their seat.
I would like a motion for us to accept this particular article. Would anyone second? I mean, this.
I second.
I just want to, yeah, the spelling of that word.
Yeah, let's fix the
We have
spelling.
to-
Yeah, that's all. I'm looking at sorry, I was looking at like my hard copy and I noticed it.
Oh, yes.
And we have to get
Gosh,
for
this is
instead of
so-
from.
Oh, yes, that's right. Yeah, that's over there.
For
Actually,
their seat, right?
it looks really messy, but I think there's a way to make it a little bit less messy.
When you accept the changes at all, it ends up being fine.
Oh, okay, yes, thank you.
I just, yeah.
Yeah, they may also choose to continue with the commission in the capacity of associate commissioner after vacating their seat. Okay.
So would someone like to make a motion to, I make a motion to vote on this particular section? Would anyone like to second it?
Second.
All in favor?
Hi.
Aye.
Aye.
Uh-oh, we need someone to count.
Who
Okay,
can-
I'll do it. I'll do it. Brian, Katie, Pauline, you said aye, right?
Yes, yes.
Deborah, you said yes. And then Harriet said yes, so that's 5.
Unanimous.
Great.
Okay. So let me see. So now I have to accept the changes. This is, let's see.
A little key punching, we'll be right there.
Yes. Oh, extra period. Ah, okay. And there's like extra space here too.
Clean up, clean up.
Might as well do all of it at the same time.
Your chief cook and bottle washer, Mr. Lee.
Apparently, yes. They may also choose to continue with the commission. Okay. Oh gosh, what's that? Oh, I see the extra period needs to go. Okay, and I think, and there was a change here where this is now item number 3. Because I think there was some weird numbering thing in the old document.
Can you fix that? I don't know.
Yeah, okay, there we go.
Okay, the
think-
next one, please.
Why is there a problem here? Oh, only one space between words? Okay. Gosh, this is so. It's better to have no space before this punctuation.
That's right.
Okay. Okay, yeah, I guess it does look better. Microsoft Word. Okay, so we save. Okay, I should probably change the name after this. Okay, so the next one is what used to be item A should really be item 4. Commissioners shall be appointed to 3-year terms, and then adding comma, serving up to 3 consecutive terms. There's a spelling error. Up is UP.
This is Katie. I'm fine with that. I just would like to switch 3 and 4. So talk about term limits first. And then that would be number 3. And number 4 would be what happens when someone reaches their term limit. It just seems to be a little bit more.
Just reverse the sequence. Yeah, that makes sense.
Exactly. Reverse the sequence, that's all. Other than that.
Do you think? Or you want to make a motion or?
Yeah, do you want to make a motion, Kate? That we
Yeah.
reverse-
Yes, I motion to accept number 4 as it is written right now, but to exchange, I always word, what's a good word? To change it with number 3, reverse the order. Make number 4 number 3 and make 3 number 4.
Why don't you?
I second that motion.
For Pauline's sake, please.
Oh, Oh, yeah, I'll reread it. 4, a commissioner shall be appointed to 3-year terms, comma, serving up to 3 consecutive terms, period.
Is that
Okay,
what was meant? Yeah.
Mhm.
I second your motion to accept number 4. The old number 4, now 3, is that?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay,
There are 2 changes on the table, I guess.
okay. Help me.
Yeah,
You
can we
vote
have
on-
a discussion on this item?
Oh,
Sure.
Two things. One, I do believe that discussing term limits should be discussed in incorporation with section B below it, which was stricken, that discusses that after the term limit is up, that there
Oh,
needs
yeah.
to be a period of 1 term vacant, or how does it say? An individual must take leave of the position for a period of 1 term before serving again in that capacity. I don't have us, and with respect to moving from a 2 consecutive terms to a 3 consecutive terms, I don't have a strong opposition to it, but I do feel that 9 years on a commission is a long time for anybody. And could result in not sufficient turnover in a commission to really represent the community. Again, I don't have a strong opposition to it. I just want to make sure that we're going into this knowing what extending the term limit does.
This is Katie. If I remember correctly, this came up a couple of years ago when Colin was had been on for a while, and we were also having a hard time filling spaces. So, this came specifically because of that matter. I do agree with you in terms of if there are a lot of people, which is where we came up with this. Actually, which is where we came up with this. If I remember correctly, or Commissioner Teresa, when the term limit was 2, when commissioners reach their term, it was supposed to be when the commissioners reach their term limit of 2, and there's an open space, then they can do it. That was how it was.
Wait a minute, say that again,
Right.
please. Katie?
Yeah. So okay. So originally, when I say originally, I mean like 2 or 3 years ago. So like 2 or 3 years ago, it was written that after serving 2 consecutive terms, the individual had to take a leave of one term.
Of
before
1
serving
term, 1 3-year term, correct.
1 3-year term. Then what they wanted to do, again, this is like the 2 years ago, is that they were saying, okay, we were having a hard time filling spaces. So they were saying there was a caveat or an exception to this 2-term rule, is that if there were open spaces and no one was waiting to be in it, that someone could do a 3rd, but only if there was open spaces.
Yeah. I mean,
I think
don't-
I
I don't personally think that we need to go to 3 consecutive terms, especially because we just approved the previous one where we can, if there remains a vacancy, we can keep the previous commissioner. We approve the stay put rule. And so I feel like the stay put rule resolves the concern of the 3-term goal by allowing a previous commissioner to stay put until that position is filled. And if we are unable to fill that space, then yes, they can continue staying on for potentially more than 3 consecutive terms. But I do believe we should take priority over new members.
that was the way it was intended when we originally made this proposed change.
This seems to reduce the incentive to replace our membership and to encourage longer serving members. And I'm not sure that's what we really want. I'm done, Harriet. You can,
Okay.
you're your chair, so you can just cut me off.
This is Pauline. I have a comment.
Go ahead.
The length of time that it takes the administration to appoint commissioners kind of falls into this too, because it took me almost 15 years to be appointed. And my question is, why does it take so long? Why can't, I think that's one of the reasons that you're not getting enough people, recruiting enough people is the length of time that it takes to approve an appointment or approve someone who wants to be appointed. That needs to change.
But that's not, excuse me, this is Harriet, to you, Pauline, but that is not in our hands, unfortunately, and
No, I know, but what I'm saying is that maybe that's why, some of these folks might have to continue, on the commission until they get around to appointing another person for that seat, whatever.
this is Harriet, and we've actually provided for that in the article we read just before, that the person remain in their seat.
Yeah.
And the only thing I wanted to point out as far as term limits, and it's probably partially covered here, but I'd just like to acknowledge that if you applied for and were very seriously considered and waiting for the city council approval in their committee, and then for the final approval, that it could shorten the term. For example, it always begins on January 1st. So whether your approval comes through on the 15th of January or the following October or December, your term has been shortened automatically by a year. So the stay put rule is a certain guardian on that account as well. And so how do people feel? I mean, we have one thing to say about 3-term limits. It's been put forth. Go ahead.
I
Frank.
also have something to say. The original thinking, as far as I remember from Holly, about the 3 terms instead of 2, is because we actually want commissioners to be able to serve 2 full terms. Because during that initial appointment process, often a commissioner will be appointed into a seat that may only have, a few months left, or half a year left or something like that. So that's, not that's really not really a full term. So so the idea would be this guarantees that you can serve at least 2 terms.
This is Harriet. Does
2
anyone?
full terms.
Yeah, does anyone else have to add to the discussion? So Katie proposed, if I heard correctly, that we reverse. Did we got that vote straightened out between 3 and 4?
I think maybe would it be good to decouple the
Oh yeah,
the first before we do the swap.
swap.
Should we first do this change first and then accept as a separate motion to try to swap them?
Okay, yeah, I would say fine. Why don't you propose it? You can propose, I think.
Yeah, we have a motion on the table, so we have to finish the motion on the table before we can raise a second motion. Unless
I
we're
forgot the first motion.
Oh, the first motion on the table, and by the way, this is Brian, for those who don't recognize my voice yet. The first motion was to accept item number 4, commissioners shall be appointed to 3-year terms, serving up to 3 consecutive terms.
Right.
So
I would second that motion.
So I think Brian was saying that he wanted to, did you want, Brian, this is Katie, did you think we should revert, did anyone else think we should revert back to the original 2 terms, 2 consecutive terms with the caveat who, when they reach their term limit.
I would agree with that.
Okay.
This is Deborah.
Deborah, which do you agree with? Agree with the three?
With what Katie was saying, to revert back to 2 terms with the stay put rule. So you still may go up to 3 terms with the stay put rule, just with the amount of time it takes to get somebody in onto the commission.
Did we clear that? Did we not just vote on
So,
the rule?
yeah.
This is Katie. It changed slightly. You changed it slightly.
Yeah. So Deborah, what you could do is, I don't think it's important enough to change it to change it back to 2 consecutive terms. But Deborah, if you believe that it is, what you could do is offer up an amendment to the motion to change it. And that's the way we can change the text that's in front of us.
Okay, then I offer an amendment to change what is now currently for saying serving up to 2 consecutive terms. And then the stay put rule would take place after that.
I will second that. Harriet,
Yes.
we can have a discussion. If anybody wants to discuss it, or we can vote on that amendment. And if the vote fails, then we're back to the original amendment of approving or denying the motion for the 3 consecutive terms.
So can we have the wording again, Deborah, that you see?
So I would change it to serving up to 2 consecutive terms. At that point,
Deborah, I actually don't think you need to say any more. If you're going to
Yes.
say that the stay put rule carries after that,
yeah, because it'll,
that's the way it's currently written, so there's no need to change that.
yes, so just up to 2 consecutive terms.
Okay, so then item 4, it sounds like it will read number 4. Commissioners shall be appointed to 3-year terms, serving up to 2 consecutive terms. That's what it would say. So that would be the amended motion.
Okay.
So I guess we could discuss, or
And we can call a vote unless there's more discussion.
Harriet, usually as the chair, the proper thing to do is ask if there's any discussion, and if there is, if no one wants to speak, then you call the vote.
Is there more discussion for this amendment or for this change?
Everyone is shaking their head no.
okay. So I guess you can call the vote.
All in favor of a 2-term limit? Say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
So note that a yes vote moves it to a 2-term limit, and saying no leaves it at 3. So,
One more time.
yeah,
All in favor of a 2-term limit?
all in favor of the
Aye.
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 1, 2, 3.
The-
Okay, so we have 3 for. I have Marie, you're not a member right now, so we can't count your vote. But I had an aye for myself, Katie, and Deborah. Is that correct?
And Pauline.
And Pauline. Okay.
Can I ask something? Why was I asked to come if I'm not a member? Because I was a member for a few years.
Well, can we take that up in a moment?
Okay, no, that's fine. I'm just curious.
Oh, yeah, it shall be explained for sure. So I think the motion carries.
That was 4 in favor.
4 in favor, right?
Any
Correct.
Any nays? I
Any
guess?
nays or any abstentions? Any nays? I guess I'm sort of at wash. I'm in the middle.
Oh, so I guess you're abstaining.
You can abstain, Harry. I'll mark it as that.
Okay, so it'll actually say 2 now. Oh, it's so messy looking. I'm not used to looking at this. All right, so I guess it passes.
Yes.
So we make the change.
Now we've approved the change to the item. Now we have to vote on the item to actually change the whole thing. So we just changed the motion, which was to approve this section, and we've changed it from 3 to 2. Now we have to vote to approve item number 4.
Oh, okay.
So
So
read
I guess
item
I
number
could-
4.
So right now it will read, 4 commissioners shall be appointed to 3-year terms, serving up to 2 consecutive terms.
Well, wait a minute. That was what you just read
I
before.
thought we already did that.
So
We're close, we're close.
yeah, we're close. Now, so we changed the motion. Now we have to actually approve the motion to make it part of the bylaw.
Oh, Joseph.
So it's the same thing, right?
Yes,
Okay, I call the vote.
technical.
Oh, wait a minute.
yes,
I'm-
you can
I'll
call the vote.
I'll call.
Or if there's any.
Is there any discussion? I'm calling the vote, and is there any discussion?
I see.
I guess-
none,
Well,
guess.
my question is, the way I thought I understood this was, and they're separate items, but it confuses me quite a lot. We're agreeing to 2-term limit
Me too.
with the caveat that if when the 3-year term limit is completed, there's no replacement commissioner. This commissioner may stay in place until their seat is filled. Is that covered in everything that we're working on here? Or
Yes,
is it-
Yes, that will be covered when we've accepted 3 and we've accepted 4 and we are about to accept 4 because we accepted the amendment to it. And then the only thing we'll need to do is switch the order of them.
I have one question. This is Katie. Should we say, and this is after this, I think we should be done after these few, because but so we say commissioners shall be appointed to 3 terms, serving up to 2 consecutive terms. After serving 2 consecutive terms, an individual, a commissioner must take a leave of the position for a period of 1 term. Or are we taking that out completely?
I think we're going to take that off because we're saying stay in place.
Oh, because then we have 3 instead. Okay, yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
and it does say serving up to 2 consecutive terms. So.
Yeah, that's true. That's how we get that.
Versus, yeah, a vacancy or, yeah.
You're right. Okay. So I move that we approve number 4 as written.
And read it again.
Commissioners shall be appointed to a 3-year term, serving up to 2 consecutive terms.
Is that wording clear?
Oh, commissioners shall be appointed to 3-year terms, comma, serving up to 2 consecutive terms,
Right, okay.
period.
All right, I call the vote. All in favor, raise your hands or say aye.
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 That's 5, Brian.
wait, that's all of us.
Okay, so that's unanimous, so it passes. Okay,
All right, I'm gonna do one more. I motion that we switch the order of number 3 and 4 to read more clearly.
Thank you.
I
I
see.
second.
All in favor? Sorry, Harriet.
I,
Yeah,
we do.
any discussion needed or shall we go forward?
Let's see, is there any?
Okay,
I
No
don't see-
discussion?
I don't see any.
all right. All in favor?
Aye.
I,
That's 5, Brian.
Perfect.
Do your thing, Frank.
Read the new construction.
Okay, so number 3. Okay, hold
Muddle,
on.
muddle, muddle as we get
I
through
have
this
to-
horrible text.
How am I gonna do, what's the right way to do this?
Just move it.
Oh, okay,
Highlight it and move it.
yeah, that's a good way. Okay. I guess that goes right here. And then they get renumbered, of course.
Yeah.
So now what was 4 is now 3, and what's 3 is now 4.
Sounds like the world.
And then Frank, I would highlight all the way down to terms. I would highlight all the way, I would go for number 3 and then go all the way down, select the whole thing and then accept.
Oh, I see. You mean just do this?
Yeah, and now just accept changes.
Okay. And then just.
And you don't have to do them all at a time.
Oh, thank you.
You can if you want, but you don't.
Yeah, there's much I don't know about this program.
That's
That's
okay.
brilliant. I didn't even know that.
Wow.
I spend a lot of time editing. This is Katie. I spend a lot of time editing documents.
Thank you.
Okay, so
Next
I
on our-
think next on the list is.
Frank, I do believe we have to vote to remove section B.
All right. I motion that we
Oh,
remove
brother.
section B. I know, Pauline, I know. But I motion that we remove section B because it is already, what's it called? Already incorporated in number 4.
I second.
In other words, Pauline, we don't have to think about it. Let's just move it. I call the vote.
Aye.
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 5.
Well, I just have one comment. It's as clear as mud, but it covers the ground.
Confusion makes my
I'm
mind go round. I know.
Yeah.
Well, in other words, we cleared up the problem with 3 and 4, and B was a reiteration that we didn't need. That's as I understood
It's
it.
now redundant.
Redundant. Yeah.
Redundant. Okay.
Yeah, so okay, so accept change. And there we are.
Yay! Congratulations, everybody. I know the chairs are supposed to be so exuberant, but you know, it happens. All right, Frank, what's next?
Okay, so the next one is item 5, I believe. It says 90 days prior to a seat becoming open. On the commission, the mayor shall solicit nominations from as many organizations and individuals who represent a broad cross-section of disabilities and disability-related concerns, period. So I guess
I would like to open a discussion or questions if people have, or thoughts if they have around this, but I also would like to make a motion that we move this forward because, well, the discussion part I have on my heart is that it is a slow process to recruit someone and go through the process of their appointment. So 90 days. We don't have that with Leon, unfortunately, but here we go.
Can you just, Frank, can you just move your cursor for a second?
oh, whoops, yes.
Okay. We represent a broad cross-section of disabilities, a broad cross-section of disability-related concerns. It's hard to do it one by one because I feel like you have to read it. For me, I have to like read it all together. Can we do that at the end? Is that what we'll do at the end? Read it all together and then make sure it all jives?
Katie, are you referring to the numbering?
I'm referring to the whole document. Like I want to
Yeah.
make sure at some point that however we refer to, if we use a term like disability and disability related concerns, that we use the same term throughout the document, like every time we make a reference. So
Okay.
can we do that at the end?
I think we should do that at the end.
That's
Usually,
fine. I just want to make sure because it's hard to do it one by one.
yeah, I think
Um,
terminology we can do at the end. And
Okay, like clean up.
and I also think numbers, grammar,
Yeah, that's fine.
etc., can be covered at the end after, but we should leave it to the end. Otherwise, we'll have to deal with it all the way through.
That's fine. That's great. Then I motion that we accept this. This
I second.
change.
Sorry,
Biggest change. Sorry.
I'm sorry, this is Adrian. I'm a bit lost. Which one are you all making a motion on right now?
Number 5.
The 90
Okay.
days.
It's commonly called number 5. Number
Okay.
5.
So I can't comment fully because I don't have enough information. But as I'm reading this, it says 90 days prior to a seat becoming open on the commission, the mayor may solicit nominations from as many organizations and individuals who represent a broad cross-section of disabilities and disability-related concerns. Is that correct? I'm reading that correctly?
It says,
Yes.
actually, I think it says the mayor shall solicit.
Okay. As staff liaison, I have a bit of concern that we might not necessarily be able to put a timestamp on that. Out
Can
of,
we approve it with leaving, can we approve all of it except for the time frame? And leave a question on the time frame for
So-
now?
and Brian can maybe help me out.
Yeah,
I'm a little on the fence about the 90 days. The rest of it is fine to me. I'm
Yeah.
on the fence about the 90 days.
so, this is Brian. A couple things in a bylaw, we can't compel somebody outside of our organization to do
To do
something.
something.
So we can invite the mayor to solicit nominations, but we can't tell her she has to. Because we as an organization, as the commission, have no control over her. So we can say that we will do something in our bylaws, but we can't say that somebody else will.
Right, right.
So I think the language there is, but we could say something along the lines of 90 days prior to knowing that a seat becomes open or vacant, the commission shall solicit nominations from et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and invite the mayor to do the same.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, I would make a motion for that.
Oh, okay.
Second that.
But
So-
it puts us in the control of saying we would 90 days before the end of the calendar year, when we know that there are vacancies coming up, that we would make a statement to the mayor. We have X number of vacancies coming up at the beginning of the new year. Would you please begin your process for soliciting new members?
And we too shall solicit, right?
And we can solicit also, and we can make recommendations to the mayor for new members. I believe we still have that.
We
Right.
do, we do.
Adrian, does that kind of capture what you're thinking?
Yeah, yeah. Now
Um,
that you've reframed it in that way.
the only other thing that I might suggest is that we could go to longer than 90 days if we felt that that was more appropriate. But my gut feel is 90 days is a fair time period.
With the understanding, as of what just happened this week, that, you know, you may get somebody who, for whatever reason, decides they're going to step away a little earlier without much notice.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I think that's always a risk.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's one that we can guard against, other than if any of us does decide to leave, giving the commission some notice might be helpful.
Yes.
But we as individuals don't always have that option either.
This is Pauline. I have a question in regard to that. Suppose this situation would come up, you know, before the 90 days, the person has to leave. It's not that he or she wants to, but he has to. What would you do then?
This is Harriet. It's beyond our power, basically, Pauline. This 90-day is a recommendation that if the person who's leaving can tell us 90 days ahead, then we have a little more lead time. If the person for health, other reasons, is unable to do that and gives us only a day or a week or a month, we just have to keep going from that point, soliciting.
No, but what I was asking was, suppose it's before that 90-day recommendation.
What do you mean?
say for health reasons, somebody has to leave 6 months before his or her term is up, then what?
The same thing, the same thing.
I guess the seat suddenly becomes
This seat,
open.
this seat just like.
We could add language that said, or upon a seat becoming unscheduled vacancy.
And unscheduled.
Okay,
Is there further discussion as to whether we should add that as an amendment? We can. Pauline, are you proposing an amendment? That is to say, to amend it to say, if possible, this would be my recommendation. This is Harriet. If possible, 90 days before a seat is vacated, and then the rest would remain the same as far as we will solicit for new commissioners and what was the wording? And
Invite the mayor.
let the mayor to also solicit new
To do the
commissioners
same.
to do the same, yeah.
I have an alternative proposed wording, I guess.
Okay, go for it.
If the commission becomes, when the commission becomes aware that a seat will become open, it shall, oh, wait a minute, that doesn't really work
No,
either.
no.
No. Because obviously you can't know, sometimes you can't know.
Well, this is Harriet. So my idea was just to say, when possible,
Impossible.
or when the commission is able to know 90 days in advance, we will begin soliciting new commissioners, right? If possible,
90 days.
prior to their vacating the seat. In other words, if we know that,
I actually don't, this is Brian. I actually don't think it matters. Because if let's say somebody notifies the commission at the end of this meeting that they're resigning effective immediately, then we would start this process now, because that would be within the 90 days.
yes,
And we could start the process now. We don't have to tell ourselves anything else. What we're saying is, if we do know, but if somebody said, I'm resigning effective November 1st, we would not be compelled to start the solicitation until 90 days before December 1st. So I think the way it's written is fine in either event.
any other questions or comments? And then Frank, could you read it out the way we
Okay,
think we're
hold on.
wording it?
We need to fix something first, because we cannot compel the mayor to do this, but
No, invite the mayor.
the
Yes.
commission shall solicit nominations from as many organizations and individuals who represent a broad cross-section of disabilities and disability-related concerns. And then we would add comma, and invite the mayor to do the same.
I'm
Okay.
trying to think of something more formal than to do the same,
Yeah,
and invite the mayor.
to open solicitations for commissioners.
To do likewise.
To do, sure, to do likewise. I don't think we have to overthink it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'll take that out. Okay. So should I read the whole thing?
You read it one more time and then
Okay.
we're done.
So this would become number 5.
Five.
Yeah, number 5. And it'll then read, if we accept this motion, 90 days prior to a seat becoming open on the commission. Oh gosh. I didn't realize this. It should say the commission shall solicit nominations from as many organizations and individuals who represent a broad cross-section of disabilities and disability-related concerns, and invite the mayor to do likewise. Fixed a misspelling of disability.
Which you can fix.
Yes.
I make a motion that we vote on this change.
I second.
All in favor? Aye.
I,
I,
So I think that was unanimous.
Congratulations, everybody. We got through 1, 2,
All right.
3, 4. Look at that. Very
Oh, I
good.
get to try this trick. This is so cool.
The one that you just taught, right?
Yes. All right, so I just say changes and then just say accept. That's
What-
they're little spacing errors. Okay.
I have a
and-
question. Can you fix that after we finish, you know?
Oh, okay. But if I fix it now, then it will at least be there, right? So while we're all still here.
It's
There we
just-
go.
it's
Because
just-
that doesn't change the meaning.
It's just, again, Pauline, if I heard you correctly, you're saying we have to take time for the meeting to do the cleanup, but I think
Yeah. Yeah. Because we have so much to accomplish. We don't want to,
Pauline, this is
Spend all kinds of-
Adrian.
yep, go ahead.
I completely understand what you're saying. But and I know it takes time, for the sake of just record keeping, I think it's important that Frank does this in real time, and that way, especially since Holly is not able to be with us this evening, that if we have to look at this again, or however far you all get this evening on this document, that you know where you left off. So I
Okay.
understand it takes time, but it's much easier to do it sort of in real time, and that way you're not sitting there later this evening or this morning being like, did I forget something?
point, thank you. very-
Okay.
I know, we appreciate your patience. This is a process.
So did you get the spacing straightened
Yes,
out?
I did.
Oh, great.
Okay.
And so where are we in our amendments and what we're doing? I mean, in our
So
articles.
so that one passed.
Yeah,
So the next one is we're eliminating, oh gosh, it's an edit of the next item, which used to be item B, I guess.
I thought we
Which-
have to read that and decide
Okay.
to, it's redundant, right?
It's now redundant. Yeah, it says the commission members shall, item B, the commission members shall actively recruit, review, and recommend prospective members of the commission to the mayor. That somehow got,
Yeah.
yeah, okay, that's right, because now this is,
Incorporated.
yes, this
absolutely.
actually basically incorporates that.
So I make a motion that we delete B, which Frank just read, and it's a redundancy from what we have earlier in the document.
For number 5.
I
I second the
seconded it.
motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
I,
Okay.
Yay.
Now
I just have to get that out.
yes, that's right.
Some things can get done quickly, isn't it?
Okay.
Marvelous.
And then the next one says, it used to be number 8, but now it'll be number 6. If a member misses 3 unexcused meetings of the commission during the year, the position of said member will be reviewed by the commission and a recommendation shall be provided to the mayor. If a vacancy ensues, it shall be filled as soon as possible according to the process above.
Referring to number 5, right?
Yes, that's right. That's right, yes.
This is from the chair. Does anyone have any comment on this just now read number 6?
Yes, this is Brian. I have a comment.
Sure.
There's no other than numbering, there are no proposed changes to this item, and thus we don't have to vote on it unless somebody wants to make a change to it.
Oh, you mean this is in the existing bylaws already?
Correct.
I see. Okay, okay.
So it's just numbering.
Yeah, it's just numbering.
So we can just fix it now.
Is that all right with everybody? Are we okay? We're not changing
Ye-
anything.
Yeah, I really don't believe you have to vote on numbering.
Okay, okay. The only problem is if there's other things referring to articles by or sections by.
Those are fixing Scribner's errors and that's just basic record keeping.
Okay,
I really don't think you need to vote on that.
Yay.
okay,
Okay, what's next?
okay. The next one was number 9, will now be number 7, but there is an edit to it. Resignations must be submitted in writing, assistance provided if needed to the mayor. We're adding and chairperson.
Well, isn't it coordinator, mayor, and chairperson?
I guess it could be.
Any discussion on this? What do people think?
Do you, oh, okay. Well, is there a motion on the table or are we just
I
discussing?
just want to open a
without-
discussion if anyone, just read it one more time.
It says, it will say number 7, resignations must be submitted in writing, assistance provided if needed to the mayor and chairperson. That's what it currently says, period. Say period.
Then I make a motion that we did change one. What did we change? We changed one word.
We added that the chairperson
Oh, yeah.
should get the resignation as well.
As the mayor, right? And with Leon as an example, Leon, I believe, wrote to Holly and to you, Adrian. Is that correct?
I guess Adrian represents the administration.
So you are the mayor. Okay, cool.
Well,
No, no, not the mayor.
No, but you represent the mayor, therefore,
I represent this commission to the city. So
Okay.
that can include the mayor, but it also includes other city staff, the department, etc.
Right.
So technically this is correct. And I think sometimes it's an piece of education that some folks who go through the commission's process across the board don't know. Technically, the formality is, it's good to let the staff liaison know, that's helpful, always. But yes, the best case scenario, best practice is that communication would come to the chairperson, the mayor would be copied, and then maybe you copy the staff liaison just to keep everybody in the loop.
okay, so then if there's no further discussion, which I'm open to, I would like to make a motion that we vote the change of adding the chairperson as the next person, as one of the two.
I have one question.
Sure.
Should mayor be capitalized? That's all.
It was capitalized previously, so I think in keeping.
okay, done.
Agreed.
Okay, is there a second on my motion that we vote on this?
I second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I think we've got it.
No one opposed.
No one opposed? Any abstentions?
Okay, so I guess we are.
Complete with number 7.
Okay, and then finally, number 8 says,
This is all we're taking on tonight, friends.
yeah, this might be all. Number 8, all members shall have full voting rights except per Article 3 membership, associate commissioners.
Did we change anything in that, or is it?
I think this is new.
I believe this is Katie, I believe that's a whole new statement.
Okay.
Paragraph.
Yeah. Also, I think there's previous text that talks about associate commissioners not having a vote.
And we, as a committee, we decide, can we make this simpler?
Where is this? Must be residents of Somerville.
I don't think you have to worry about this too much.
Okay, yeah, it's inside number 2. Associate commissioner service will no terms and have no voting capability.
Yeah, I really feel number 8 is redundant and unnecessary.
And because it's in number 2, because it's already.
Right, because I've never heard in a bylaw where we had to where you had to say that the members of the organization approving the bylaw has voting rights in the commission. So you usually don't have to say that we have voting rights because that's inherent in us being
Fine,
this
okay.
organization.
No, I'm gonna eat a bunny. I'm not okay. Oh, sorry.
And we've already said that associate commissioners don't have the right to vote. So,
Can you read the number 2 again, just for Pauline's and my sake?
Oh, okay. Number 2 fully reads an unspecified number of additional members, hereby known as associate commissioners, who are not appointed by the mayor, must be residents of Somerville who either have a disability, have a family member with disabilities, or represent the interests of individuals with disabilities. To be considered an associate commissioner, an individual must attend 3 meetings and be voted in by the commission. Associate commissioners serve at will with no designated terms and have no voting capability. Associate commissioners may be considered as candidates for commission seats as opportunities arise from vacancy or term completion.
Any
Oh,
discussion?
that about says it, doesn't it? I mean,
Yeah, that covers it.
I think number 8 is now redundant.
So do we have to vote it out for redundancy? I think we do, right, Brian?
uh,
I don't think we do. because
actually,
it
you
wasn't
don't.
really-
You can just strike it because
Let me see.
if we do nothing, it doesn't get added
Okay,
Right.
Right.
because it's not there to begin with.
Right. Okay.
Brian, how'd you get so good at all these like Robert's rules of procedure?
Oh my
Studying
God, too
decade.
many years.
Okay, I don't know any of it.
Actually, one of my colleagues gave me a whole like crib sheet on Robert's Rules of Orders, and I've been meaning to like share them with us here as well as other.
Please do. Please do.
Okay. I'll pull it up and I'll get it. I'll pass it around.
Okay, and
Okay.
when Frank gets it, Pauline, we'll make sure it's accessible for me and you.
We'll check it for that.
Yeah.
I'd like to
I
make
can-
a
I can-
motion
Yes,
Oh,
yes, go ahead.
okay.
that we end the editing of the bylaw section of the agenda now.
It is ended.
Thank you.
I am going to observe that Marie left us
Oh, shoot.
Oh.
and we didn't get a chance to explain. So
Fine.
I don't know who invited her to the meeting to begin with.
So the best I can explain it, she filled out so the city of Somerville has a form where folks, like a general inquiry form, if, and sometimes it's assigned to different commissions. So her inquiry came through that form and it was forwarded to me by Dan Moore. So at some point, based on her narrative, she was very heavily involved with this commission, which was before my time, I can say. And she mentioned some folks in an email of names I did not recognize. And so I think because there's been some time has passed, perhaps, you know, I'm happy. I've connected with her, with Holly. I think Holly and I can probably have a separate conversation with her to figure that out. And I can reach out to the city clerk tomorrow and see if there's a record of her serving at some point on the city's records. But she was.
This is Katie. Does it matter if she was on it? Does it?
That I don't know. I at least in the interim, why she considers returning, I think it's important just to educate on the process. Which is, and that's hard to do sort of in this venue because there's an agenda and there's other things going on, but I will reach out to her tomorrow. Yes, Harriet.
And I guess what I'd like to say as temporary chair, I'd just like to, through you, send her an apology that weren't unable to spend time with her to speak more about how we currently gain new commissioners on the commission.
Yeah, I certainly will pass that along.
Attention, it wasn't in our agenda.
Yeah, and she wanted to come when you all made up the March meeting, but it didn't work with her schedule.
I see. Well, thank you for carrying that out, and certainly don't want to create a negative view for her specifically, you know, so.
Yeah, I didn't take it as that. I think sometimes when we have folks who join us, whether they've been previously involved or maybe they're new to the city or however that pans out for them, that sometimes it's hard when you walk into a meeting of this nature, not understanding some of the process and business that's a part of these meetings.
Exactly. So where are we in the agenda, Mr. Lee?
Well, this is Deborah, not to throw a spanner in the works, but we never accepted number 2. If we're going to be finished with part 3 of the bylaws, we need to accept number 2.
Oh,
I thought we
you
did.
scroll up?
That is a good
Thank you,
point.
Deborah.
Yeah, good catch.
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
Can you read it one more time for Pauline and me?
Okay, so number 2, an unspecified number of additional members, hereby known as associate commissioners, who are not appointed by the mayor, must be residents of Somerville, who either have a disability, have a family member with disabilities, or represent the interests of individuals with disabilities. To be considered an associate commissioner, an individual must attend 3 meetings and be voted in by the commission. Associate commissioners serve at will with no designated terms and have no voting capability. Associate commissioners may be considered as candidates for commission seats as opportunities arise from vacancy or term completion. Okay, so
I would like to make a motion that we accept the wording of number 2, unless there's further discussion needed. God bless us. I hope not.
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
okay.
And just for the record, this language is very similar, but more clear than the original. So we're not even changing it all that much. We're just making it more logical.
Thank you. It means the subcommittee did some good work.
Yes.
Some things actually work.
Let me tell you. I'm serious, you guys. We probably spent 10 hours and we aren't done yet, but anyway, yeah.
Okay, but next item would have been the meeting minutes.
And what time is it?
Approval of
Let's have a time.
time
We
check.
need, can we do them? I looked at them.
Well, they're not all available to me. Sorry, babe.
Is there any we can do? Yikes.
Can we read
Wow.
one out loud?
But you can read 1 or 2 out loud and that'll be fine.
Although, Pauline, you'd love that if I just sat and read everything. That would.
No, but I'm saying to make it available, you can read at least one set of minutes and then we can approve it. I mean,
Yeah, okay. I mean, I don't know what's the best. I don't know. Is there none that are available to you? I'm sorry, Harry. I didn't realize that. Is there none that are
I'm saying
available to you?
it's a matter of time between, the difficulty is currently we have to have Frank does a reformatting so they can be embossed correctly. And then it needs 2 weeks after that for the Perkins to then produce Braille documents and mail them to us.
Yeah, that takes a long time. I get it. And there's none that are ready for that. Okay,
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
fair enough.
But in the next 20 minutes, would you like? It is
We can
possible.
end early. We can end
Yeah.
early.
Well, we can end early. It's up
Did
to-
everybody get back the commission goals to Holly?
Oh, that's a good
Mm,
question.
that's
Yes.
a big one.
Yeah, I did through the chair, Harriet, this is Adrian. I did speak to Holly by phone at some point this afternoon. I don't have a timestamp. And because she was asking for some clarification about the process. And I said, you know, the email was good, but to be mindful, because what I'm seeing is, so I guess one of them is communication. So communication, at least to me, is always a good thing to keep in mind. But as I shared with Holly, what is the goal around communication? What is sort of the line item, if you will? So a sentence around communication. So an example would be, the goal would be the Somerville Commission for Persons with Disabilities would like to increase the communication about their initiatives and work by, and naming a way to do that. So having a newsletter or putting something, you know, in the media. So single words or focuses are great, but I have recommended to Holly, the chair, that there maybe needs to be a bigger discussion about sort of making those more explicit and specific in terms of the different focuses you all are considering. So another example, so one of them was housing. What is the goal around housing with the commission? Is everybody understanding what I'm saying?
Yes,
Okay.
I understand it. Yeah.
Okay.
That's not specific enough.
Yeah, so you could easily start to talk about that a little bit in the amount of time you have, start that discussion and then, you know, finish it. I think the focuses are great, but I think you just need to take some time to, like these bylaws that have been worked on so very hard, parse out really explicit details. Because when it's been my experience, when organizations or entities are able to do that, the goal is more achievable because you have sort of measurable things that you're aiming for.
Thank you. Thank you. I'd like to propose from the chair that we have a few minutes of discussion around goals. And I would like to offer a comment about becoming more specific with our goals. Are people in accord? Are all of us in accord with, say, spending 10 minutes discussing this right now?
Yes,
Yes.
Okay.
use is key.
Okay, so for example, I agree that specificity is like benchmarks. So for example, when I think of communication, I feel that one of the goals I have personally as a commission member is that we make all of our meetings and communications phenomenally accessible. And we make a kind of, if you like, newsletter or education for all the commissions, the boards, city council, you name it, as to what is full accessibility in terms of communication. Because I've been sweating bullets for months and months trying to support that we make things really accessible, including plain language and all these other sorts of things. So when I think communication, I think of that kind of accessibility. And then that ties right in with education as a goal, sharing the knowledge and the resources to make things fully accessible. Right up to the fact that how do we recruit new commissioners? Is it sort of word of mouth? Is it going to, res meetings or community meetings, different things. I really like this idea about tabling with you, Adrian, at a community meeting. So yeah, that's all I have to say. Who else would like to speak to this?
And this is all under communication, right?
No, I made it up. Okay, I said that's Harriet's interpretation.
Okay. This is Pauline. One of the things that I've been kicking around, how would this fall into communication? Working with different departments of the city, say the police, to educate them on how to work with people with disabilities.
Thank you. That's important.
Because we've seen incidents where the appropriate way to do something for a person with a disability the situation wasn't handled correctly, and there was a lot of bad feeling afterward. And I think all of our public responders and officials and whoever should be educated as to how, for instance, how do you work with a blind person, or how do you work with someone in a wheelchair? There are things that you should do and can do to make things a lot easier, less stressful, for both the person with a disability and the responder or whomever is going to help.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Is anyone else raising hands? We're just sort of taking ideas.
Brian was.
Brian?
I'm gonna respond to Pauline's briefly. I'm not sure that that's best in the communication goal, as it's in the city services, programs, meetings, and employment opportunities. That seems to be a big catch-all, but to me that sounds different than communication, but I could be wrong.
I think it's a big part of communication.
Okay.
Because you're dealing with, say, someone who's deaf, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
How would a police officer communicate with that person? Or how, to me, it's all communication and education, and I might be way off too, but.
No, I'm just highlighting that what you're saying and what Harriet was saying are two completely different items, and I think they're both equally important. And I'm not so sure how to, but they can't be the same goal. Because I think they're they're very different. They're very different items. But go back to Harriet. I'll finish up later. Oh, Harriet, you're on mute.
Brian, what I would like to say is simply, this is really just shooting around ideas.
Yeah, agreed.
The categories that you're mentioning, it's not as though I have a template of these different areas in my mind when I bring this up. And I also don't think necessarily any of us do, but we're just bringing up ideas, not in any I'm not really specific about it, more as what could be possible, right? and the category it fits into, we'll have to figure that out.
Yeah.
That's,
No,
that-
I agree with that.
okay, so that's, I like the conversation if people are in agreement
Yeah.
to be on that level of, you know, what area, if we even just pick one person says one, any of us, the thing that they calls to them as something that we an initiative or something that then we'll figure out where it belongs in the groupings that were suggested to us. Okay, that's all.
Got it.
Anyone else?
Actually, I had a response, a comment regarding Harriet's comment on communication, and especially when it comes to minutes. And it's a request to Frank, because it sounds like you're reformatting the minutes that we make so that it can go to the Brailer. Could you send me a copy of how you reformatted it? Because ideally, I would just write it such that it doesn't need to be reformatted, that just can be sent
Oh,
to the Brailer.
that would be wonderful. Yeah.
But I don't know what it needs to, I don't know what it needs to be to do that. So I could use the education there.
Yeah.
And I think an example would go a long way.
Frank, this is Katie. Can you send that to me too? Because sometimes I help out with the minutes.
Oh, wow. Okay.
If you
Okay.
could just, yeah, and then that can be part of the communication. I mean, that's something like we've agreed that this is how we shall keep minutes. You know, that's like one way.
Yeah.
I mean, it goes into our goal.
Yeah.
If we,
But it also, could be used as a template to educate the other departments of the
I love
city
it.
so that
Bum, bum, bum.
they can, do embossing as well.
Brilliant,
Yeah.
brilliant.
So what they,
Yes.
this is what the young
There are
kids do.
actually
They
two
snap
issues.
fingers like that.
There are two interrelated issues too with this. One is generating screen reader accessible PDFs. Since I guess we're not sharing the original Word files on the city website of the minutes, we share PDFs. So the PDFs have to be generated in a way that it can be accessible through a screen reader. And Holly and I were exploring this. It seemed to have some problems with the 2-column format that we have in the role. What do you call it? In
Minutes, right?
where we say who's doing what. In I guess in the beginning of some of the minutes, it says who will be doing which item, like Greg, 15 minutes, on this. What will happen is the screen reader will read all the items on the agenda first, and then it will read all the names.
Oh, okay. I see.
Yeah. So we figured out a way so that we could have it read item, agenda item, then person, agenda item, then person. And it was strange because it involved removing a whole bunch of tabs and just making it like agenda item : space and then the person. This is so esoteric that I don't understand how, like, there are all these pieces of software interacting, and it's like none of the people who write this software has thought about this. Yeah.
Well, I think we can pull this offline, but Frank, I would appreciate your insight on that. So in hopes that we can just revise our standard formatting to be more universally legible.
Oh, that's just,
Okay.
that is inspiring to me, I'll tell you. Thank
Okay.
you.
Maybe it could come in the form of a template.
Yeah.
I could try to reformat one of the minutes.
Oh,
and
that's exactly what I would do, is just try to create a template. That's what I already do. I copy last month's minutes into this one, and then I just rewrite everything on top of it.
Excellent.
I just want to acknowledge, let's take 1 minute, this is Harriet, to acknowledge Frank, because Frank has rehabilitated a 23-year-old embosser that was given to us a few years ago from the Perkins School with no software, with nothing. And Frank, because he's skilled in open source and Linux and everything else in the world, has found open software to not only translate it into Braille, but translate it with its 300 abbreviation, contractions, and punctuation. And I just would like to acknowledge your effort to do this. And I
And
hope-
it's a monumental task too.
anyway,
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I just
Thanks
wanted
for
to acknowledge you.
Yes.
And hopefully it'll be something you can transfer to Kate and to Brian and then ultimately to the other departments. That would be phenomenal. Thanks.
Yeah, that'll be great. Yeah, we're still kind of working it out.
Work in progress.
Yes,
Anyone else got thoughts about goals that we want to, it's about maybe 8 minutes to 9, I think,
actually, yeah, about 5 minutes.
5 minutes to 9.
My top goals is working with the public schools to see if we can help to support families going through the 504 and IEP process.
Yes. Yes. Sorry.
And I've been trying to think about what would that look like. I know that the head for the city is the head of student services. So I don't know if it would be just a matter of communication with them to say when you have a new family going through the process, you know, you can give them the commission's name for an additional resource.
This is Katie. Deborah, there is a group, I'm going to get the acronym wrong, of parents who support, there's actually two. There's a bigger one that is parents who have children that are, you know, going through the process or either through the, and then there's also a Spanish speaking one. There's a smaller one of supporting a group of Spanish speaking families through, but to have children with special education needs. And so I'm not sure, but those are other places. Not that, yeah, other places too, maybe go. I forget what it's like, I forget what the acronym is. Because it's an S for Somerville. That's all I remember.
This is Harry. Could you share that with Deborah and, well, maybe with all?
Yeah, let me get the name. Actually, I'm going to email the person right now. So I'm going to email someone I know who's in it and have her tell me what the name of her group is. Yeah.
Great. Harriet speaking, any other ideas bubbling up? We'll certainly take it up next time. That being so quiet, I will make a motion that we adjourn this meeting 2 minutes early. What do you think, guys?
I second it.
All in favor?
I
Thank you for putting up with my silliness sometimes.
You did a great job, Harriet.
You did fantastic.
Thank you, Harriet.
And Brian, thank you for your support and everybody for your support. It's really great. Thank you so, and thank you, frankly.
Thanks. And thanks everyone for tuning in.
Have a good
Fun.
night.
All right. Have a good evening, Al.
Bye.
Bye.